Well, good evening. Delighted and excited. And tonight is one of my very favorite portions of our time together because this is like at warp speed. I know. Claude is, yeah. Lots of money, lots and fast, and all of that other stuff. And it's really, this is what we're in it for. We get to do what we love to do and get compensated for it in one way, shape, form, or another. So tonight is the chocolatey goodness that is all upon you. Say yeah. Let me tell you about a man named Billy kept his family bit and bit one day okay, ran out of music, but doesn't quite work that well. But the Ballad of Jed Clampett. So delighted and excited you could be here tonight. And of course, as we unpack and explore this super cool, this is actually a program, a total program in the program, because what this is tonight is the overview introduction to the Total Speaker Success, or the six-figure free-to-free speaker blueprint. And I used to teach this separately, and because you can generate, a lot of real results fast with just this one idea or ideal alone. But before I do that, I want to introduce you to your business's very best friend. And your business's very, very best friend, we call her Millie Diop. Millie Diop. And Millie Diop stands for something, and if you haven't already heard from me before, it's make it look like you did it on purpose. Millie Diop, make it look like you did it on purpose. And we do this for a reason, because listen, this speaking business is nothing but improv. Yes, you want to be prepared. Yes, you want to be excited and ignited to be there. And yes, you want to do all that stuff. But here's the powerful distinction. Each and every time you have to show up and you have no idea what's going to happen. They may tell you you have 40 minutes and you end up having 4. Or you may, you may have 15 minutes planned and you see this from the back of the room, which basically means stretch. Or they come to you and say, hey, our other speaker didn't show up or won't be making it. And I know you were scheduled for 60 minutes, but can you do 4 hours?
Ouch.
Right? Exactly. Now, yeah, exactly. Now you may or may not be able to do that, and we all speak brutality here, brutal honesty here, and so don't make promises you can't keep. Let me back that out. Don't make any promises you can't keep, for sure. But just to know that this is a constant pivot platform as a speaker. And again, you may think they tell you we're going to have hundreds of people there and there's 7. You may show up, they may say it's going to be an intimate group and there's hundreds or even thousands. So you just have to be ready, poised, positioned, prepared for just about anything at any time. So Millie Diop is nothing more. This is not the fake it till you make it school of marketing and business. This is about intention. This is about intentional design. Let me give you an example. I was doing an educational program for a school, and we were doing a fundraiser for them. And like most schools, they didn't have any resources to do a decor or create an event. They wanted more than just to show up and have somebody do some magic for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we created a theme based on what we knew we could create based on the available resources. One of the things I knew that they could do, because I'd seen them at the school, they had just gotten done doing you've seen those little things they do in elementary school where they take colored construction paper and they draw around the kids' hands and they cut them
Mhm.
out, right? So
Mhm.
they had all these hands all over the place, and one of the custodial staff was bringing them down. They had like stacks of them, like hundreds of them. And I said, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna come up with a theme, something with hands. We ended up coming with hands across the world, united together forever, right? So the magic of togetherness kind of thing, right? So we had all the students do like 2 or 3, 4 more of these each of these hands, and we decorated. We made strings of these things. We decorated the stage with them. We just did this whole thing. Now, the thing is, nobody that showed up knew that wasn't exactly what we had intended from the very beginning. It was intentional. So we just applied the principles of Millie Diop. Make it look like you did it on purpose. And this is nothing more than the principle as a speaker of owning it. Like, just show up. And, when I was doing magic or singing in a nightclub and the jukebox would accidentally come on, I'd take credit for it, right? Like kind of like Fonz, right? Boom, you hit the, I. So here's the thing, and again, this is not the fake it till you make it. This is not lying through your teeth. This is just taking the resource you have and making the most out of it on purpose and by design. So make it look like you did it on purpose. And that's the entire model for your speaking career. You must understand this principle. And if you understand this as a speaker, as a web builder, as a marketer of your services, as a performer, presenter, entertainer, expert, and educator, show up with a Millie Diop approach. Just make it look like Terry, you understand this principle probably as well as anybody. How many times have you showed up to a situation and things weren't as purported to be, and then all of a sudden you had to Millie Diop your way through the moment? Do you have an example of that? Probably.
I do. May I
I
share it
imagined
with
you
you?
would. Yes, please.
It happened up at your fair, the Nevada State Fair, one year. So it was. Uh, I was doing cups and balls, and that's a trick for the people who aren't magicians, where you have little balls under the cups and you produce little things. And most of the time, I produce baseballs. But in this show, what I was doing, I would first produce a bowl of goldfish and put the bowl of goldfish down in front of my table. I produced that from my hat. And then, very cool, is I produce live baby chickens, little baby chicks, right?
Yeah.
And the audience goes crazy over it. Well, I have a witness. She was there, Mary Lee Gooderjohn, who you know,
Yeah,
Dino. So the little chickens, they came out. They walked. One of the chickens walked to the edge of the table, put its wings out, jumped, landed in the bowl of goldfish water, and was floating. Yes, it was amazing. And I went, thank you, as if I trained that little chicken to do that. So,
right?
I got to tell you, the crowd went ape shit nuts. It was funny as hell. So I went like, yes. And it never happened ever again. So that's the best story I have for you.
Yep. I have a million stories, and I will tell you one, but there's a zillion reasons why. You just have to be in the moment, prepared and ready to Millie Diop any moment in any time. I was in deep Northern California on tour with one of our magic illusion shows, 2 trucks and a bus, and I do one thing in my show where I levitate a girl. She floats up, she floats down. Then I throw this beautiful gold lame cloth over. She floats up, almost out of reach. I grab the edge of the cloth and I whisk the cloth away, and she vanishes midair. Beautiful illusion, just exactly like it sounds. And I look up, I grab the cloth, I move forward, and because I know what's happening, and I walk forward, and I just walk forward with this little thin cloth. The audience went nuts. I mean, crazy, standing there freaking, oh my gosh, oh gosh. You know, and I'm going like, wow, this is a really cool trick, but it's not that good. I mean, it's really good, but it's not that good. These people are going cray cray. And all of a sudden I turn around and I gesture like I'm thinking to thin air. And all of a sudden I see this head, her head, literally bouncing and floating off stage. So that was not the way it was supposed to be. And then I turned around, of course, and I took a great big gesture, took a great big bow, the curtains closed, and you know, and I'm standing backstage. This happened twice, and I'm standing backstage, and this event producer, and we're doing a fundraiser, just exactly what we're teaching you guys how to do. The same method, same methodology, but instead of speaking, we're just doing magic shows, right? And this producer comes storming at me, and I'm going like, I have no idea what happened. That's never happened before. Goes, I don't either. I've never seen them go so crazy in all my life. Can you stay another 2 days?
Oh.
I'm going like, why, yes, we can. And we sold out 2 more shows at 1,200 seats a pop, right?
Wow.
So, so anyway, so anyway, so the thing is, again, not fake it, own it as if that's exactly the way it was supposed to be. Because the alternative would have been like, I don't know what happened, apologizing, because I had a friend who started apologizing when the producer was coming back to say thank you. He started apologizing. He changed the producer's mind to the point where the guy said, I want my money back. He was super satisfied that he came back. The guy was so congruent, said, I've never had that. Was the worst thing I've ever done. I apologize. And he goes, wow, really? I guess we need our money back then, you know? So, Millie D up. And I'm saying be brutally honest, you know, but just make it look like you did it on purpose. So that's just the sort of overarching idea for your entire speaking business when you show up, because again, it's just going to be one of those situations where every time it's going to be it's part of breathing in and breathing out as a professional speaker, performer, presenter, entertainer, educator, so on and so forth. Just have to be flexible. Listen, I showed up to mud fields where they put some 2x4s over some hay bales, and that was the stage, right?
I think I played there a couple times.
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
See? Right? You just do what you got to do. Now, again, you know, at some point, you got to make those corrections. But anyway. Tonight, we're going to talk about Free to Fee, the KISS 6-figure speaker blueprint, and how you can literally make a executive level income doing what you love starting as soon as today. And this is the good news. It's free found money, and it is a fast way to make money. And the reason we've been doing this build up on purpose and by design in this magic methodology is because especially today, or as Mario, one of the Mario brothers, especially today, would say, is that you have to show up and make it look like you did it on purpose. And in that, the reason I wanted to take you through the next level, free event, first event, that I want you to have some content and collateral that you can use to share with these prospective next events that we're going to talk about. So I'm going to unpack for you sort of the introduction to this Free to Fee. It is the step-by-step model, and then I'm going to go in and explain and unpack different parts of this for you throughout the course of the week with modules in your member portal. But with that in mind, I'm going to unlock. Let me go here and share There we go. So this will look familiar too. Obviously, you've seen this before, parts of it anyway. This is where we are. This is the magic method, right? The mindset, the action plan, the go get and promote, the implement, impact, produce and present, the charismatic cash in, and of course we went over the mindset, and we're at the action plan process, and part of that action plan is your first fast next level event, so that you can use that and leverage that content in the C's that we talked about, the C's of success. Get that vitamin C so that you can get confidence and all of that other stuff, and then take that content and leverage it in community and credibility and content to leverage it forward, because we're going to begin to reach out to a group of people and begin to promote not only your next event, but just promote your business and life and in general. So remember, we talked about this whole free to fee, promote and pitch and book. We're gonna show you how to do that literally step by step here tonight. So this should be very simple, and you guys are going to get a copy of this mind map, so you'll see exactly what the process is. You won't have to necessarily write anything down here. You're welcome to take notes, but you will get the steps in the process, and then I'm going to break it down for you. I just want to give you the 30,000 foot overview because it is super simple. This process is so much more simple than you can even imagine. So, and again, we talk about fresh fruit. And by the way, the distinction between fresh fruit and low-hanging fruit is ever so subtle. And I'm going to give you a letter that you'll be able to use to connect and reach out. But this fresh fruit on the ground is just, obviously you're going to start with your fresh fruit on the ground relationships, people you know and the people you know who know people you know. So, and you're simply going to invite yourself to connect with these people and give them the opportunity to have you come out as a speaker, presenter, performer, entertainer, educator, expert, etc., etc., etc. And then, I'm going to give you a letter, and it's a super simple one-page letter, and it has 4 little paragraphs on it with a couple of bullet points. Amazingly similar to where we've been so far with the formularies that we've been sharing with you, right? Super simple letter, and that's part of the gift. Then you're going to follow up with a call and then we're going to begin to book that process. So what you're going to do is, obviously you're going to leverage that relationship. Oh, that's interesting. Let me get rid of that. There you go. Then they're going to book us, which, by the way, they're booking us for free or very low fee. This is not. And by the way, please let me make a very clear, powerful distinction. Just because they may or may not be paying you in no way means you're not getting paid, that you're not making money, okay? Because the ancillary ways that we're going to generate results. So I'm going to give you the sort of the ABC 1, 2, 3 step by step. Once we get you through this process, which is create relational awareness, then you're going to have casual conversations through a call. They're going to say, yes, we'd love to have you come present for us. You're going to create that booking, and then you're going to show up and you're going to create a presentation. And what that looks like is, again, incredibly familiar as it may seem. We're going to start with the YOU. This is okay. So you get there, you're going to show up, say, hi, gang. You're probably wondering why I'm here, why I share what I share. This is the why, what's in it for them as a listener, as an audience. And then you're going to provide an urgent call to action. And that urgent call to action is built into your call to action, your pitch, your offer, your presentation. So you introduce yourself, and you can even use the formulary we talked about before, which is the idea that 3-step super simple process that, you know how, problem. Well, what I do is solution. So now you can results. And that could be the very beginning of your presentation if you're into formulas like that. Then you're simply going to present your message. And again, you can use the big idea tool and template we provided for you, and there's nothing more to it than that. You big end in mind result. You have your 3 core competencies. You may not get to 3 depending on your 5 to 50-minute presentation. By the way, typically it's going to be between 5 and 20 minutes is your typical time for, and we're talking about right now, we're talking about social and civic club groups and organizations, right? So your Kiwanis, Rotary, elks, bison, eagle, all the animals, all the, anyway, all those kinds of community public JCs, Junior Chamber of Commerce, all those kinds of groups, those affinity groups. So then you break down potentially your 3 core competencies, very simple. You chunk them down, and then you can include your magic wand question. Keep in mind, you still have typically 5 to 20 minutes typically to do that. And you're going to do all of this in that amount of time. Now, if you get 50 minutes, 50, or if you get 90, then so be it. You just expound more on your particular brand of content. You can use the format principles, the why, what, how, and what now. Super simple way to begin to unpack what it is you're sharing. Why I'm going to be sharing with you, what I'm going to be sharing, how it applies to you in your situation, circumstance, and what now. Doesn't matter what format you choose, okay? The old speak formula, which is tell them what you're going to tell them what you tell them, and then tell them what you just told them. It's a pretty simple idea, right? So you don't have to have tons of content. And I'm going to gift you tons and tons of ways, what I call the money-making marketing magic metaphors, which is tons of ways to expand your content so that you can take 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 minutes and turn it into 10x the amount of impact with your presentation. And some of those will be PowerPoints, and some of those will be processes, and some of them will be other ways of doing business. And here's an important distinction. We call it seeding or casual mention, seeding the audience or seeding the presentation. So you come out, you do your introduction, you share your 1, 2, no more than 3 principles or processes. And typically, again, at these kinds of short presentations, this applies to longer presentations as well, but if you've got shorter, that's why we teach you the principle of chunking or of modularization or of building bricks so that you can actually build your structure right there in front of them by choosing which brick to place where and when. So for instance, Marnie, you may come and saying, I want to share with you my unique, after you do your YOU or your introduction, you might start by saying, I want to share with you my unique RAD or RAD method for helping you in traumatic life situations or whatever, however. And so you explain what what resilience, adaptability and determination, and say we only have time today to really kind of go a little bit deep on one of them. So I'm going to talk about the R or the A or the D, whichever you happen to want to talk about today, right? So you don't have to, there's no law that says you have to give them more than they can chew. Mm-hmm. So make it really, 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 really simple. And then throughout the course of your live presentation, you want to make sure that you seed the audience. And by that, I mean you want to make casual mentions. This is a marketing principle of letting them know that you are available to do other things. So one casual seed or casual mention would be, I was speaking before Apple computer executives the other time, last week, last year, whatever. And in that leadership training experience, we talked about how this RAD method applies to, everyday living, how it applies to business. Now, without saying, I do corporate events, or without saying I do, educational events for schools, or without saying I do this or whatever that, you can just simply casually mention how what you're talking about applies to getting results for that day. And the reason you seed these things is because you're going to invite people to self-identify again, to self-identify, raise their own hand, and identify themselves as wanting to take the next step with you eventually in our process together. So does anybody have any questions about that part so far? Pretty simple. This is just doing your presentation, right? This is your content. This is what you love. This is how you doing why you're here at all. Is sharing your special brand of chocolatey goodness.
So
Then, go ahead.
So if I was talking about like seeding it, if I was just, talking about the resilience today and sort of ask a question on adaptability, like just casually say, how can people adapt in their workforce? Or I'm talking to children, how can they adapt with their learning?
Exactly.
And then just like, to get them thinking over.
Exactly.
Asking them directly.
That's right. So you're not just that kind, generous soul who's coming to speak to this group exclusively for free. It gives you the opportunity to promote you and your business as a professional without sounding over the top, kind of slimy and salesy. You can say, honored and privileged to be here. When your Grand Poobah invited me to come present, I was delighted and honored. I would just happen to be at, speaking for this 3,000 person event, or doing this online, international online summit, or whatever, right? So it lets them know, even in the back of their mind, that, oh, they do online. Oh, they do webinars. Oh, they'll come speak to my group. Oh, I can hire them to do a full-blown presentation for my company or group or organization, or. And you can also seed various aspects of your program. Like, for instance, like Terry has an inspirational program for early childhood education called Be a Magic Hero. Is that right? Is that how it's? Yep. Or I'm a magic hero, or Be a Magic Hero. I'm a magic hero. Okay. So, and he inspires young people to embrace their, themselves as a hero. It's quite brilliant, actually. So, for instance, if he could mention that, in our Be a Magic Hero program that we do for elementary age children to inspire them to be the very best they can possibly be, blah, blah, blah. And then you can also mention, because of the generosity of ABC Hardware and other local businesses, we're able to inspire our children. Now, all of a sudden, some of these business leaders, especially in places like Rotary and things like that, and Claude's going to unload on us here in a little while as well, the value of this process. But but then they get a picture and say, oh, maybe he's willing to present to my kids, or maybe I could partner with him so that he could reach out to the local area schools, and I can partner with him as a plumbing, or as a realtor, as a on and on and on, right? So it gives you opportunities to seed or casually mention various aspects of what you do without having to say, oh, and by the way, gangs, just so you know, I also speak to schools. So if anybody wants to sponsor our program, please talk to me afterwards. Now, there's nothing wrong with saying that, but you'll get a lot farther with these casual mentions, these seed opportunities. And then so that even at the end of your presentation, if you say, by the way, for anybody interested in partnering us to make great things happen in our elementary schools, please feel free to come up and have a quick conversation, and we'll create a time for us to chat and see if, so on and so forth. So, or as you seed it, you can say, somebody mentioned to me, by the way, they'd be interested in potentially championing or partnering with us to make the magic happen. So very, very simple. You just introduce yourself, you share your principles, whichever methodology you choose, and I just gave you a couple of choices. Use the big idea big impact, you can use the format, you can use the, tell them, or tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them, tell them, so on, that method. And then just make sure you include your seed or casual mentions. Then you're going to do something that no other speaker I know of has really leveraged to the degree that I teach, which is kind of cool. We call it a contest. And it's simple. It's a super simple drawing giveaway. And this is where your seeding also comes into play. You're going to say, as part of our online training program, or as part of our mentorship, or as part of our online mastermind, or as part of our course system membership, or as you make those casual mentions, you can let them know that you have additional content available, which you're going to do as part of a workshop we have coming up this Saturday, whatever, right? So, and you're simply going to invite them and saying, hey, I'm going to be gifting away a unlimited access, or whatever you decide you want to gift away, but make it worthy of them raising their hand. But I'm going to gift somebody here a chance to win this $5,000 program, this $2,000 program, this $500 workshop, this $47 webinar, this whatever. And by the way, everybody that enters is a winner, because I'm going to gift you this killer rad method download where you'll be able to unpack the 3-step process for, from going from solemn to spectacular in, 3 moves or whatever it is, right? That whatever your report or gift or free download. So, and then you're going to simply invite them that little bit later on, I'm going to invite you to enter into our contest, and you make a micro pitch or presentation for the value of the contest. Even if it's a free giveaway, like a free download. Here's what's interesting about human nature and marketing. You have to clearly present and persuade at the same level you do if you're asking for participation than you do if you're asking for cash or money or any of that kind of thing. So if you're giving something away, you have to bring to the table the same level of persuasion and influence and communication and connection and conversion strategies. You have to sell that idea, right? Even if it's a free gifted download. So we do this super simple contest. And again, we'll unpack this for you in greater detail, but it's super simple. At the end of our time together, I'm going to give you the chance to win, access to our $3,000 program, and our second prize winner will win our $500 webinar series or training or whatever you happen to have or can create together, or invite them to participate with you in the future. Like, hey, we have an online series of webinar trainings coming over the next 4 weeks where we'll be unpacking these things. It's a $3,000 value or a $300 value or a $3 value, whatever it happens to be. And some lucky winner will get access to that with my compliments, right? So you do a contest, and then you simply invite people to bring their business card and give you their business card or their thing. Now, here's the strategy. And by the way, if they don't have business cards, you have a solution for that. And again, if we're doing it digitally, there's a way we do this pretty much the same way. But we just do it digitally. But you say, before everybody pull out your business card, I want you to look at it. Now, I do a little thing in my training about business cards. I talk a little bit about business cards. So I talk to people about the power of what makes an effective business card, turning your business card into a money-making marketing magic weapon, 24/7, 365, blah, 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 blah. You don't need to have any of that, but I'm just telling you, when you invite them to raise their hand, identify themselves as wanting your free premium giveaway, your gift, and again, everybody that enters gets a prize, whatever that happens to be. You can invite them, by the way, you can invite them for a strategy session. Somebody's going to win a $97 strategy or a $297 or a $597. It doesn't matter what you're giving away. You can give away strategy sessions to anybody who raises their hand if you want. You can give away a coaching session. You can give whatever. So you create value. You invite them to participate with you. Now, here's what you're going to do. You're going to ask them 3 super simple questions. The first question is about that group or organization that you've worked out in advance with that group or organization. Let's say it's Rotary, and they're having regionals coming up, a regional conference coming up, online or offline. Say you have 3 super simple questions, and you simply have to answer them yes or no. So I want you to put the numbers 1, the number 2, and the number 3 on the back of your business card. If you don't have space, don't worry. We will come around with paper, or there's a place online, or you can put it in the chat box, or. So it translates wherever you are. And then you answer these 3 questions. The first question is something you've pre-worked out with that group or organization. For instance, again, if it was Rotary and they're having regionals, how many of you are planning to sign up and attend regionals for this year? And then Y or N, yes or no, that's all. We just want to kind of get a pulse so we can start making whatever. And then your agreement for doing this is, and getting people to raise their hand, is that I will get an answer that you desperately need as the leader of your organization that you've been wanting to find out, but may have been a little bit loosey-goosey. People haven't really stepped up to the plate because it's a walk-up community, it's very much a walk-up community here in Reno. People wait the last second to do anything because everything is so widely available. And I know that's true in the event business no matter where you slice it, and you'll see that happen more relevantly online because there's no pressure, to sign up, especially if it's a low barrier to entry or a free live event or something like that. That's why we encourage you to make sure that you offer something to, like some sort of admission, whether it's a donation or some kind of skin in the game commitment for their participation. So once they saddle up and put they're asking, question number 1 is a question for the group or organization. Question number 2 is, did you find anything of value from today's presentation? Yes or no? No big deal. And then again, you can go back and say, I'm going to give you the answer to these questions so you can get a pulse in the room on A, how many people are going to show up to your regional conference or convention or event or whatever they want to know. The other is, did they enjoy the presentation? You're going to share these results with the person that booked you or brought you in. So now you get a chance to reach back to that group and saying, 30% of the people said they're going to be showing up for conference. 80 or 100% of the people said they got something of value from the presentation. And the third one is strictly marketing, and it's selfish and it's for you, but it is incredibly powerful. This is how you're going to turn a free event into a full fee event. This is how I ended up from Reno, coming from out of the country, literally, and inside of 2 weeks was able to generate a 6-figure executive level income doing exactly what I'm sharing with you right now. So, and then the third question is this. Who would like to either get a free strategy session or would like to find out more about what I'm doing or stay in touch with me, something about you and your business, and entering into being on your email list or something? Who would like the free gift or download, whatever. Now, because they're writing it on their business card, or they're filling it into the chat box, or they're entering into a form, or whatever it happens to be, online or offline, you're getting real-time data and results. So when they raise their hand and saying, yes, I might or might not be going to regionals, yes or no, I did receive something of value from the presentation today, 3, yes or no, I would love more information. I would like to stay in touch. I would like to get your free gift and download. I would like more information about you speaking at my next function. Yes, I would like whatever that last question, and make it a little bit broader, and I'll give you some samples and examples of the 3 questions I use on a consistent basis that will get them to raise your hand. Now, typically about 30% answer number 3 in the affirmative. So if you're again, because simple math for simple minds, I'm very simple-minded, that if you're speaking to 100 people and 30%, that means 30 people raised their hand and said, yes, please use me and abuse me for your own marketing purposes. Reach out, pitch me, promote me, do it. You have my full permission to reach out to me and either give me free content or put me on your mailing list or. And because, again, it's on the back of their card, you have all their information. You're not asking them. Now, do I have forms if they don't have business cards? Yes. But I can tell you, even in today's day and age, people still typically have some kind of a business card, and they're still using them. So, again, online or off, let's translate perfectly online as well as it works offline. So now you've got all of these things, and then you simply take this stuff, and of course you follow up with the people who said, yes, use me and abuse me for your personal privilege and gain, and you follow up appropriately. Now you start by serving them and loving them and helping them and creating value for them, and then you start and advance that relationship process, and then and on and on and on. So it's the follow-up and follow-throughs. This is how you can walk out of a room of, even in a group of 10 people, 3 people who have raised their hand, identified themselves as wanting to talk to you about business, about doing something more with you. Was that a win for the day? Right? Exactly. And I know some of you have probably spoke places before, and my question to you is, how many times did you get people, because you had a process or a system in place to get them not only to raise their hand, not only to identify themselves, but to proactively be part of the process of basically pitching themselves on or to you? So if every gig you don't speak at produces more gigs, and again, you're occasionally, very rarely, if you do this process, very rarely you're going to get nobody say no, or everybody say no, I should say. But 90%, 99% of the time, you're going to get 1% to, or one person to hundreds of people raising their hand saying, I want more, especially if you bring the goods, if you over-deliver on value, impact, and profit, emotional, spiritual, relational, intellectual, of course, as business owners, financial. If you bring the goods, people will want to know more, especially if you only have 5 to 15 minutes for most of these social civic clubs, right? So, that being said, you just give them a chance to identify themselves as wanting to potentially do business with you. Here's the good news is, you don't want to do business with people who don't want to do business with you. So if they said, I'm not interested, they said nothing, they didn't go, you suck, I don't want to have anything to do with you. I've never had one of those. It's possible they might have been thinking of that because I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm a professional weirdo. So it's entirely likely that some people just plain did not like me with some fervor. But nobody ever went out of their way to go, you suck. They just don't identify themselves as wanting to know more from me. And that's cool, right? And the ones that do. And you also build, because you're doing this contest, you're building some reciprocation because you're giving value and the promise of value up front before you invite them to take a forward motion investment of their time, their talent, their treasure, their trust with you. So you're giving them something first. Is the epitome of add value first and foremost and always, that generates impact, something that will do something for them, and then you profit emotionally, spiritually, relationally. In this case, relationally. They want to enter into a relationship. They want to know more. And then you do this contest, and then you simply say, thank you so much for being here, appreciate it, and then you make your formal pitch or presentation or call to action or offer. And by the way, always write this down, underscore this, highlight this, cut this out, stick this up on your mirror, do whatever you do. Always, did I say always? Yes, always. I meant always. Did I say always? I meant always. Always, always make an offer. Now, that said, the offer doesn't always have to be a capital investment offer. So in other words, you may not be asking for money. You may be asking for contact information. You may be asking for a call to action as far as, I want you over the next 10 days to think about this. I want you, it might be just an emotional or something that you never even find out about. I want you to report back to your grand poobah about, hey, just raise your hand. If you think you're going to attend regionals this year, I challenge you to step up and identify yourself in the next 7 days. So by this time next week, when you show up to your meeting next week, I want you to walk up to your registrar with your whatever your call to action is. It doesn't have to be for anything you have, again, like I said, but you always, always, always make a call to action, because if you don't ask for something to happen, nothing will occur. It's just a law of common sense. So you make an offer. And it could be for your free event, right? And that might be a webinar, a training, a workshop, a seminar, a training, a download, a replay, a whatever, right? So it might be it might be a free piece of content. There's training or content right there. So again, it might be a webinar, a course, a membership, a mentorship, a download, whatever, a checklist, an action plan, a process map, whatever. So you're always making some kind of offer, whether it's free or fee, you're always making an offer. And it doesn't have to be yours. Again, like I said, you can say, how many people here, if money was no option, would want to know more about getting a free vacation or whatever it would, right? So you can do whatever you want. And of course, you can, depending, now some groups say you can't make an offer. What they mean is, I don't want you pitching for money my group. Now, frankly, if they're taking a free presentation, I don't think they get a say in the matter, but that's just me. Listen, if you want me to come speak for free, especially if they reach out to you. Now, if you reach out to them, you play by the rules. I mean, you decide what you want to do about that. But very, 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 keep it super simple. Please don't overcome. Like I said, as I've said before, it takes more time to explain this process than it does to actually implement all this stuff. This stuff is usually between 5 and give or take 50 minutes, 5 and 50 minutes, give or take. Most of these social and civic groups are going to be somewhere between 5 and 20 minutes, usually settling in around the 15-minute mark. Not always. Some give you a little bit longer. Some don't give you quite as long. Just is what it is. And I want Claude to kind of step up to the mic for a second and share a story or two about. I want you to tell him one or more of your experiences with just this super simple methodology, Dr. Claude. If you don't mind.
First of all, I leverage this concept a ton. I probably made $100,000 a year or more just from this one concept by partnering with Rotary, Optimus, Kinsman, Kiwanis groups. A couple things. First of all, these groups are always looking for a speaker for their meetings. They usually have a meeting a week. Some meet in the morning, some meet in the afternoon, some meet at dinner time, but they're always looking for a speaker to share whatever. And they're just looking for someone to come and speak about life while they have their meal or just before their business presentation of some sort. And they usually give about 20 minutes. So many times when you contact these groups saying, hey, I'm looking to share my story, share some ideas. First of all, the meeting chairperson is like, yes, because now I secured somebody for that spot because somebody's in charge of making sure that there's a speaker at all these meetings. So it's not a big sale. When you offer to them, they're like, yes, I was looking for another speaker. Can you come in this time slot? Second thing, these organizations are always looking for ways to make an impact in the community. They're looking for fundraising. They're looking to serve the community. So when you go in and you start sharing your story with me, I went and talked about overcoming obstacles. I was a group in foster care. I stuttered to become a magician, and how I spent my life traveling across the country, helping service clubs raise funds and awareness. And I would give them a little education on how a service club would go out and create events and a little sponsorship. And I would talk about this over 15 to 20 minutes. At the end, I was saying, thank you for having me. And by the way, if you happen to know of anybody in this area looking for funds and awareness, I'm the guy they need to be talking to. And someone would say, hey, we're looking for that. I'm like, really? And then they would ask me, how does this work? So I'd talk about how does it work? And I would end up doing a show for them. I think maybe 100 times I spoke at these clubs, about 97 of those turned into a major event where I was paid $5,000 or $10,000 to come back and serve this group. Dean and I talked earlier, and we both did this a lot. We would be on tour and we would crash these clubs in a nice way, Like I would be traveling, I would do 3 or 4 schools during the day. I would get a motel room that night, so I'm in between stops. And around 5:30 at night, I'm like, okay, I get on Google and say, what service club is meeting tonight? Kinsman, Kiwanis, Rotary, like who's meeting? Somebody's meeting somewhere, the fair group, whoever. So I would find, oh, they're meeting at the Legion Hall. So I would just go to the Legion Hall about 45 minutes before the meeting. I would go in and, hi folks, I'm kind of lost here. I was told that like Lions Club kind of meets around here. And I love Lions groups and I try to visit Lions clubs wherever I can. Could you please tell me when their meetings are? And they're like, we have a meeting tonight. I'm like, tonight? And they're like, would you like to stay and hang out with us? I'm like, sure. And they'd ask me what I did. I told them what I did, and I'm a speaker, and I speak at different groups and organizations, and just happened to be passing through. And they would say, why don't you stay for supper? They would ask me to get up and speak for 5 or 10 minutes. I would get up. This is what I do. And I would walk away with a $5,000 or $8,000 agreement to come back to do a show for them. And when I was hanging out before the dinner, like I would go around, oh, what's your name? Oh, my name's Dean. Oh, what do you do, Dean? Oh, I'm a plumber. Oh, nice to meet you, Dean. Oh, what do you do, Mel? Oh, I'm a dental hygienist. Oh, awesome. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I have a flower shop. So during my presentation, I would talk about cross promotions. And I said, now look, if you were a flower shop, I would do this. If you were, a chiropractor, I would do this. And I would just talk as examples. And at the end of the performance, these business owners, and I knew they were that because I met them before my presentation, would come to me, oh, I'm a chiropractor. I have a flower shop. I'm a realtor. When you're looking for sponsors tomorrow, come and see me. So not only would I get a $5,000 or $10,000 engagement, I would get $2,500 to $5,000 in sponsors from members of that club. Because many of these clubs are local business, like your Kiwanis, like your Rotary are all business owners. They're all business people. That's why they're there. They're networking with each other, right? So not only does it happen, it happens very quickly, like 24 to 48 hours quickly.
Right, very quickly. And it's a great way to, again, get some credibility, some content. Of course, if you breathe, record it. So you're going to record that presentation also. You're going to get testimonials and standing ovations, and you're going to get whatever you get from that presentation and doing that thing, and you're going to be able to massage it together into yet another updated video reel that say, hey, I was just over here I did this, here's what the president of that club said, here's what this happened, this is thing, blah, blah, blah. You're going to be able to use all that. I want to I know you've heard this story before, but I want to remind you of why is so important in your presentation. And as you and Claude, tell them the story about them cutting your time and what happened there and why was so doggone important.
As Dean talked about earlier, why you always have to be ready because you don't know what's going to happen. I was invited to a Rotary meeting. There was going to be about 10 other clubs to come there. So it was a regional meeting. I'd already worked with a couple clubs locally, had great success. And now that the grand poobah was going to be at all these extra clubs, they wanted me to come and share what I did and how I help groups raise funds and awareness. And they told me you have about 20 to 30 minutes to get up and explain. I'm like, awesome. So I go there. I'm there about 2 or 3 hours early because I was on the road. So I got there a couple hours early. So I had to hang out for 3 hours. I had dinner with them. They got up and they started doing their speeches and blah, blah, blah. And some of the speakers took a little longer than normal. Just before I was to go on, the president come, he taps me on the shoulder. And he said, man, I am so sorry, but we have dignitaries. They have to travel home. This is running a bit late. And instead of 20 minutes, just give us 5 minutes. Just tell us how you help groups and organizations in 5 minutes. That's all we got. We're so sorry. I'm like, crap. If I didn't know that, I would even come here. I've been here 5 hours waiting. So I decided at the last minute that the only thing I would share in 5 minutes is my why. That's all I would share. So I got up and said, folks, I understand you're pressed for time, so I'm going to make this very short and sweet. You know, I was a foster kid. I was bullied. People in the community really helped me that didn't have to. And I never got over that. And I know there's children here in this community that are hungry, that are praying for a miracle. And I really want to help these groups and these organizations and these children that are suffering right here in this city. So when you folks have some time, I'd like to come back and tell you how we can desperately help these children and how we can help them immediately when you folks have time. I'd love to come back. Thanks for having me. And I went and sat down. And they kind of looked at each other. And there's a bit of a silence. And then the president went and talked to the vice president. He went over and talked to the governor. He come back. Mr. Haggerty, we're sorry to rush you. Please come back to the podium. You just tell us what we got to do to make this happen. You just tell us, man, like take your time. Wow. Tell us, like, what do you have in mind? So I said, like to do this, like to do this, like to do that. They picked a date. I made $7,000 on that event. And I went on to book 30 or 40 more Rotary clubs right after that. And all I shared to them, this is why I'm here. Kids are suffering and I can't stand to sit back and see this happen in your community any longer. That's why I'm here. So hopefully one day we can get together and we can really take care of this when you folks have time. So thanks for having me.
Yep. So yeah, it's good business. Yes, it's great to get up and promote and pitch your business to other people. But ultimately, the reason this works, and the reason it has worked when I was 7, the reason it worked when we were touring across the country, and the reason that it works on a consistent, persistent basis, because you're not looking for a paid booking gig. You're not looking for opportunity for a payday. You're not looking for a bankroll. You're looking to serve. You're looking to help them get what they want, need. They will move heaven and earth if you can demonstrate through your why and your O, and then urge them gently with no pressure to take action now rather than later. YOU. As soon as you show them the magic of you, they will do it because it's in their best interest, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, and so on. Make sense? The thing is, you no longer have to sell. You no longer have to wait for the phone to ring. You no longer have to wait for the text to beep. You no longer have to wait for the email to chime. You can serve starting today by simply reaching out to a group or organization that you probably already know and have some kind of relationship with, or you know somebody who does, probably within your own family, let alone any extended opportunity, that you can just say, hey, I'm looking to serve a couple of nonprofit groups and organizations in the area. Does anybody know where I can speak to this group about dun, bum, bum, bum? Right? And what's in it for them. That's it. You'll get people to raise their hand. You'll have more speaking gigs. I will give you the tool and the template, the guide that you need to make the magic happen, and walk you through the process. It really is this level of super simplicity. There's nothing more to it than that. Nothing more to it than that. It is so easy. If you simply understand that you want to stop selling and start serving. Right? Super easy process. So the free to fee quick start cash process, or the 6-figure blueprint for success, is simply help other people get what they ultimately want, need, desire, and deserve. I'm going to give you the KISS letter, and it's very simple. Looks very familiar, and it should, because it's built on the same model backbone, which is, hey, I'm looking to do this. Here's a couple of bullet points. For more information, reach out. Let's have a quick casual conversation, see if it's a match. No guarantees, but let's make the magic happen if we can. One page, super simple. Take my information out, fill in your blanks. That's it. That'll be available to you in your training. So pay it forward and profit, the free and easy, no risk money process for making massive money doing what you love simply by helping other people. It is that simple. Q&As, takeaways, thoughts, ideas, epiphanies, inspirations. Once again, there will be more detailed training processes, but I want you to understand at a glance how simple this process is. And all you have to do is go serve. There's no barrier to entry. The only one is the calendar itself. Yeah, we're kind of booked up for the next 3 weeks. Well, what's interesting about that? You show up at their front door. Sometimes they'll give you time on that platform and saying, here's why I'm here. Because there are people who are hungry, or people who need help, or people who are sick, or people who are addicted. Claude?
These groups will never turn you away. First of all, these groups are really struggling for membership. So their memberships are way down. So if you go there and say, hey, I'm kind of interested in what you do here at Rotary. I don't know how I can serve you, but I kind of want to sit into one of your meetings or attend one of your meetings to see what you do. I think maybe there was ways that we can help each other. I don't know. Man, they will roll out the red carpet for you to come and share, because they were looking for ways to they got 5 or 6 people or 10 people, and they're trying to serve the whole community. So these are just volunteers. So they're looking for help in any way, shape, or form. You just go there and show any interest. They will roll out the red carpet, invite you to stay, invite you to speak, share. They're very accommodating, and they're down to earth, friendly people, right?
And remember, we gave you that 30 to 60 second presentation platform formula. So even when everybody gets a chance to stand up and introduce themselves, you can say, hey, I want to start off by asking a question. You know how nonprofit groups or organizations struggle to make ends meet? Well, what I do is I help so that they can. More information, please let me know. I'll be happy. They'll come to you and say, tell us more about that. Marnie, you had a question?
I was just mentioning, because I spoke with the Kiwanis group and a couple of weeks ago, and they emailed me and said, we've got a guest speaker coming tonight. Would you like to come to our meeting?
Yep.
So that was for Heart for Kids. And I actually knew the lady she's the manager for all of Australia. And I went to listed that, so I've got her connections sort of to help with a group to support. She's looking for someone locally in this area. And while I was there, the lady said, because I've got another speaking engagement from them, and she's a principal at a high school at a bay, not about an hour's drive from them. She said, would you be interested to come and do a talk for our teachers on your RAD method? At some time. So the Kiwanis group has been offering, and then they said, when you're getting your resilience speech or your adaptability speech, use us as guinea pigs, and we'll have you at the meeting to
Exactly.
Invaluable, right? Yeah. And a lot of your sponsors will come from that group too, because I tell you, if I'm doing something for Rotary and they have 15 members and one of them is a realtor, I always say, hey, folks, I'm going to give your members the first chance to partner with us. Do you happen to have a realtor group? And they say, yeah, Terry Godfrey's a realtor. When I contact Terry and say, hey, Terry, I see you're with the Kiwanis. We're doing an event. I'll give you the first opportunity to sponsor this, since this is your club. And if you say, no, that's no problem, I'll offer it to another realtor in the community, no problem. There's no way that that guy is going to let another realtor come and sponsor his club. There's no way. He's going to be, yeah, I'm in. I'm your guy, right? Thank you. $1,000 there. Oh, Garrett, see you with the Kiwanis. I'm looking for a financial planner, and I'm only going to involve one, but I want to give you the first opportunity. I know Terry, the realtor, is coming on board. You're like, oh crap, I'm in too. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, like no pressure, but yeah, works kind of nice. And it's all right there. And many of them even have their own facility. So, some of them rent a halls, but some of them have, like a lot of the Kiwanis have their own halls. The Optimists have their own halls. A lot of the Rotaries have their own hall or meeting space where you can do events. So not only do you partner with them, not only do you get your sponsors from them, but if you need a meeting space, they already have it. They got everything, right? They have almost everything you need. So,
Yep.
kind of just
So,
all fits together,
yeah.
right?
So this is really simple. And then of course in the rest of the process you're going to get, you know, the scripts and the forms and the letters and the tools and the gifts and the downloads and included in that is what I call the $200,000 piece of paper, which is a tool that you're going to use to generate know, like, and trust, credibility, connections, and community, and ultimately conversions with your people. And again, when you see that and unpack it, and you know, you've all been to those speaking events where they left on your chair a little speaker evaluation, so that the audience knows, or so that group knows, how effective was that speaker. Will they bring that speaker back, and what did they convey what you wanted them to convey, and so on and so forth. Super simple, one page or even a half page document. This has been crafted in the most profound and persuasive way possible, where you will walk out of the door with killer, amazing connections and credibility. You will actually be, every single person in that room will give you some kind of testimonial. And again, once you see it, you're going to go, what the hell are you doing anything else, Dean? This is gold all and unto itself. And the reason it's called the $200,000 piece of paper is because one of our members used this piece of paper and 1 gig and generated in excess of $200,000 just from using that one piece of paper. And again, when you see how simple yet subtly genius, and I'm not patting myself on the back, it just works. It just works. So, and it's psychologically diabolical, I will say that. But so over the next 7 days, I'm going to be sprinkling in little pieces of the broken down versions of the training, so that you can begin to adapt and model it and use it. And as soon as what I would do starting today is start using the methodology that we've been teaching you for getting people to raise their hand. And this, hey group, I need your help. I'm looking to serve a social civic club, group, or organization with my unique presentation of the RAD method, or of this method, or of this, or whatever it is. Does anybody know anybody who's looking for, you know, a speaker or a presenter, a presentation for their group, club, or organization? Very simple, no fancy posts, stuff like that. So, and then begin to start identifying those things, and then when they say that, you say, in the next few days, I will send you a super simple overview, which is this 1-page letter I will gift you, which you then customize. And then in that letter, invites them to have a quick, casual conversation with you to see if it's a good match for their group or organization. Boom, done. Now, here's the secret. Most of those people will just call when they call you. They won't, so tell me more about your presentation. They'll say, when are you available? We've got 6 spots available over the next 6 months. Which one or ones would you like to speak? Right? Because as Claude said, these guys are desperate for speakers, and especially speakers who are comfortable in some way, shape, or form with a digital workspace, you know, being able to show up digitally or show up appropriately physically. Now, I get that we're at different levels of closure and openness wherever you happen to be. Most of our groups are still meeting. If they're meeting online, they're meeting digitally. There's a couple of them that are doing, 50% or less group, so some of the smaller clubs are meeting, is what I'm saying, I guess. But either way, and it's just an introduction. Yes, Dr. Garrett.
I'm sorry I missed the first half hour of this. I don't know if you covered it, but does content matter to these groups? Like, does it need to be motivational or a specific type of training?
We didn't cover that specifically, although we did give the form and formula for doing a presentation. But that being said, I will tell you that you just have to be somewhat interesting because, again, they're so desperate for speakers. They have the heating and air guy, the HVAC guy coming and speaking to their group, like snooze fest, right? So I'll tell you, I built single-handedly, it was the thing that built my entertainment business, because I'd get up and I'd say, here are the 3 most important things you need to know about putting on a party or an event or something like that. And then I showed them a super simple trick. I was just a little bit more fun than the average speaker. These people, I got so many gigs out of doing these events. Just so. That said, I think you want to be somewhat effective and engaging. And yes, we did give a step-by-step methodology for what to say at the beginning, the middle, and the end, and I gave a couple of 3 or 4 different formulas that you can use to make your presentation and stuff like that. But my personal belief is I think you should always be good at what you do.
Of course.
So that said, they have the most boring speakers. We had a guy, I'm falling asleep just thinking about it. We had guys talk about what they called, and they did this for one of our groups. I belong to an executive association. Every year they'd come and talk about what they called the sort of the state of the state. And they talked about stocks and ups and downs. And I'm going like, it was like a snooze fest, but it just happened on our calendar once a year. And there was, most of the speakers were boring. So that when you get up there as a musician, when you get up there as a magician, when you get up there as a motivational or inspirational speaker, when you get up there with your RAD method, you get up there with your news system, or you get up there with your whatever system how to go from to turn reading Rockstar in less than 4 weeks or whatever. These people are going to be like, right?
Take another distinction too, okay, having done these meetings a ton, is probably 60 or 70% of all the presentations that come in there are going to present, and then they're going to ask that club for money. They're going to come in and say, hey, we're at the hospital. This is what we do at the hospital. And can you help us? Hey, we're at the Dog Rescue Society. Can you help us? Hey, we help seniors. And this is how we help seniors. And we were hoping the Rotary could send over $500 or $1,000 to help us. And if they have the money, they write you a check because they don't want to turn away anybody. But when you go there and you have an interesting presentation and you want to talk to them, well, maybe there's a possibility down the road, a month or two, maybe we can do something to make you money. They're like, oh, what's that? They're like, whoa, because we know that tomorrow and next day and next week, somebody's going to be here asking for money, and we got to keep making money to be able to fulfill that. So when you go there and you even hint to an opportunity where you can, now that we know each other and we're friends here, because I just shared 15 minutes with you, but if you're looking for money and ways to serve the community, I have a way where we can maybe work together to make that happen. You just plant that seed, man, right? When I was asked to come back on for another 15 minutes, I spoke for a half hour, and then we talked for a half hour after that. We picked a date, and I even got sponsors. But once I even alluded to there's a potential for them to make money, Bingo. That's the
Yeah,
honest
Garrett,
truth.
go ahead.
So I gathered, because what I heard you guys say, Claude said this, is when he'd have an event, he would also go to the Rotary or whatever in whatever town he was in. But we're just getting this ball rolling.
Yeah.
So how far do we travel? How far do we go to make this work? I mean, basically, am I looking to drive 2 hours to Kansas City? Or do I just want to stay extremely local? Like, what?
I would start off right in your hometown with the people you already know. Start off with your hometown first. The only reason I was doing these is because I was setting up national tours. And this is part of the process for me to get my show from Vancouver to Newfoundland, which is 4,000 miles apart. Right. I would book these clubs and these sponsors because I was touring. Dino just stayed right in Reno most of the time. He did tour some, but he probably 80% of his shows was right in Reno. So it doesn't really matter. Right. Just for me, I happen to be in those towns to set up tours. So wherever I was today, I was setting up something so that 6 or 8 weeks from now, I was going to come back there with a tractor trailer and tigers and all my crew. But I'm here now just seeing 6 weeks from now, I'm going to be looking for a gig in this area. And I'm here at a Rotary to see if I can come in, serve them, and lead that to an opportunity at the date of my choosing, right? To help them so they can give money. But for sure, always start off with the easy one. Start out with your own clubs. Who do you know that's already in Rotary, Kinsmen, Kiwanis, those type of things, or your friends. And two, once you've spoken at a few clubs and they send you a letter or an email or a comment of some sort, those little snippets will help you to book other clubs as a speaker. Oh, I spoke at this club. Here's what they said. I was over here. Here's what they said. And they're like, oh, Garrett, love to have you, right? So.
Yep. And here's I think the potentially even better news. I love it, and it may not be better for you. But until we open up again, as they say, how far is it for you to get to your computer from wherever you are in the house? That's how far you have to travel. So, because you can do 99, you can do 100% of what we're teaching you to do on the internet right now, and you can have the reach can be global. This week,
I wish the hell I had this Ben we were doing.
Right?
Oh my God.
This week I spoke in all over the United States and Canada, spoke in Botswana, spoke to all parts of Australia, several parts of Australia. Where else? Anyway, just literally internationally, because they are no farther than their internet connection. And that's
those
where
were
we
all
are
paid?
right now. Huh?
Those were all paid?
Those are paid, and those are also these events that we're teaching you to do. Because all the events we're teaching you to do are, as far as I'm concerned, you can serve online as much as you want. Right? Because listen, I had to figure out how to take, a bus, a 40-foot bus, and 2 tractor trailers loaded with equipment, stage, lighting, sound, deck stuff, curtains, all the equipment and all the, all that stuff. And Claude was very much the same. And how does that transmute to this internet connection space, right? Same thing as a speaker. How does this transmute from speaking on their stage to speaking on their screen? And because they have lots of remote workers, that they are watching from wherever they are in the world. Some people are in the Asia Pacific Rim. Some people are in all kinds of the Philippines because they're using outsourcing, and they're all over the place. And some people their main office is in Dallas or Houston or their whatever, right? So to do this, it's no farther than your internet connection. And that's 90% of what I do now and have for the last 10 years, regardless, has been this, what we're doing now.
So these Rotary clubs are also meeting virtually?
They
A
are.
lot of them
indeed.
are having to, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Many of them are. Most of them are right now, if they're meeting at all. Most of them are, because they still have initiatives they have to, and they may do an outside, hey, pick up the trash in the park thing, or but they have postponed. In most cases, they have postponed their fishing derbies or their this thing or their tractor pull or their I just met with the Children's Cancer Foundation here in Reno the other day. Went to their building physically. They took me on a tour of their building, and it's now run by two very nice ladies who they're basically full-time, and everybody else is either remote or part-time, or they don't do stuff in-house anymore. They do it all over the interwebs, right? They're celebrating kids' birthdays over the interwebs. They're raising, and they're still raising. One event they did was $7.2 million, and it was all digital. It was all virtual. There was a radiothon. There was a radio station involved. There was on and on and on. So yes, they're already here. They're already with us online. Now, is that to say that offline events are going away or will stay away forever? No, clicking from place to place will never replace face-to-face. We're always going to have a need to be connected to one another in one way, shape, form, or another. Here's the thing, though. There is now a consideration of weight. Am I going to travel to Kansas City? Am I going to get an airfare? Am I going to pay my food and lodging and accommodations? Plus, am I going to spend $250 for the conference? Plus, miss work or miss my family or, all that stuff. And we will never go back, in my best guesstimation, or not for many, many, many years, if not decades to come. And frankly, I think never, because for 10 years before this pandemic, we were doing hybrid events. There was many times, and you probably even heard about this in your own experience, is that there was a live event, but there was either a recording or there was a digital connection point where you could attend what they called virtually or digitally. And you still paid your tuition, and you still, but you just missed out on the hallway networking and, some of the other, but you still got to potentially go to the breakouts, or maybe you only have access to the main sessions or whatever. But most of these people over the last at least 5 years were live streaming at the same time. I was doing it the other way around. They, hey, listen, if you want to save $5,000 to $8,000 on your expenses, great, no problem. I'll stay at home and I will make a digital presentation, either pre-recorded or I will, in the later years, I will live stream into your event and I will present as if I were there live. You just put me up on the big screen. That's it. No big deal.
I once did one. I was the only one not at the theater. I was here in Ontario. There was a bunch of entertainers in Michigan. They were in the theater. I did my presentation by Zoom. I could see the audience and they would ask a question. I'd say, okay, the gentleman in the blue hat, what's your question? Well, this gentleman over here in the red shirt, what's your question? And I was the only one that wasn't there. But it saved me going to Michigan and back where I could do it virtually by Zoom. And it was awesome, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, it is, again, it's not the new economy, it's the now. So just have to learn how to adapt and adopt to what it is. So, and I get it. Like, and Terry says, that's a bummer. Hope it stops. Well, probably the answer is unfortunately not anytime soon, right?
Well, no, wait.
Oh.
That wasn't about you. That was about Marnie. Marnie's in pain.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
No, that's not about you. Marnie's hurting right now. So that was nothing about you.
I'm sorry, Marnie.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah. So, but it's going to be, so this digital stuff is here to stay. It's been here to stay. It is just now the accepted and expected new norm or now norm. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's good. That's more opportunity, because I know for me, I can have more and greater impact and reach because I could do an event today and tonight. Whereas if I was in Hawaii, I could do that event. That's it. Or
But you'd be in Hawaii.
Huh?
But you'd be in Hawaii.
But I'd be in Hawaii. That's right. Exactly. And I love Hawaii.
That should be our next conference for all of us. And
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. When we
We'll
yeah,
get
so
some
when we
sponsors to pay for our travel too.
Oh, don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that. I know this guy.
I know this guy.
And that'd be kind of like meeting in the middle for our Australian friends.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
kind of.
right.
Yeah.
Hawaii perfect. Lock it
As
in.
long as we can get home.
Hey, listen, if you've never been to Australia, I'll tell you, if I wasn't here in the United States, in a heartbeat, Brisbane or Sydney, with hands down, I love Australia. I LOVE love Australia. I'm not sure they'd have me full time, but
Not much of a snake guy, so we'll see.
oh, I'm not a snake and a spider guy either. But yeah, no, I see the
afraid.
spider. I mean the spider, not a spider. The spider.
Ones.
I see a spider and I burn the house down. Right?
I scare pretty easy. I don't know.
That's right. Exactly.
Clear.
Thoughts, ideas, epiphanies, inspirations, cares, questions, concerns? Yes, Dr. Terry.
Yeah, I have. So I did that show.
Yeah.
It's about a half hour's worth of material. Okay. In the long run, am I trying to get to about an hour's worth of material for when we're doing the big? No.
Nope. I don't think so. As a performer, I don't think, again, principles don't change, process would, but think in terms of, if you're going to do longer, think in terms of how television program, what are they used to? When they're staring at their screen, what are they used to? Like 8-minute segments over 60 minutes. So there's like 42 minutes of content and the rest is commercial time or breakup, right? So if you're doing that stuff, yes, you got to break it up. But I think I could be wrong, and I don't have any empirical evidence, only what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing in the marketplace, and that is that the new 90-minute, new 1-hour content is now more like 20 to 40, usually 20 to 30.
Okay. So like the Magic Castle is selling tickets for an hour show. And so that's what I was kind of basing.
Yeah, that's because, no offense, they just don't know any better.
I was just what I was
Yeah.
basing my content.
No,
And
I
when
get it.
And when we were working on this system before for actually doing it in person, we were talking about an hour-long show.
Well, you do whatever. Again, principles don't change. It's just like what you would do outside at a fair is different than what you do in a theater versus what you do in the round versus what you do, so on and so forth. So this is a different proscenium. This is a different place. So, and different media and medium. So yes, it's going to be different. I think, and again, I could be wrong. Will people sit for an hour and watch? The thing is, it's the production value, unless they're having 4 to 6 cameras and editing and audio sweetening and somebody switching. How many times have y'all watched television and it's clear that it's live theater on TV as opposed to watching a television production? And how do you feel about that? Most of the time, it's not nearly as interesting, right? Why do you think Disney took on the job of doing what's that rap thing, Hamilton, right? Because they had to uplift the production value. You couldn't just sit there with 1 or 2 cameras in the back of the theater and expect people to have the same experience in this screen. It's not the same. So that being said, my opinion, based on some experience, but my opinion is that that you want to do, and you want to do some more. You want to make sure you up level your interaction somehow, some way, shape, or form, and a few other things, right? But
okay. And then the other thing I was going to tell you that so I did the $10 thing to come to that show, and it was interesting that some people paid, a lot of people didn't, because I kind of told them just to come watch the show. I wanted to go. But what was interesting is you had taught us about doing the $10 PayPal thing, which now Garrett found out that doesn't work anymore at that part. But what I was going to suggest was I got a check today, one of my neighbors down the street, And she said, "Oh, I'm having a hard time with PayPal. Can I just give you a check?" And I said, "Sure." And so I went down and got it today, and I just visited with her and took it and stuff. And then I was walking away. It's like she made it out for $35. So, oh, it wasn't even more than I was expecting. She, "Oh no, I figured it was $5 per person. We had about 7 people watching." So, oh, okay, neat. So that made me think about maybe the idea of maybe doing what you'd mentioned before about maybe, pay what you can. You might get more than just $10. Me just saying it's $10 got me $10, but so that's what I wanted to say.
Yep, there's tons of payment models and ways to do it, and I will teach you a bunch of them as probably less as mainstream content, but as bonus content. But you'll have access to that information. So for sure, pay what you can model usually works out to your best interest and to the best interest of everybody. I'm a fan of the pay what you can. You just have to give them guidelines. Like, hey, normally this is what it's worth, but pay what you can. You can also do pay what you can with a minimum donation of, hey, pay what you can, with a minimum donation of $5. We want to make sure this group or organization gets something for our time together, right? Or whatever. So, and I could go deep on that, but I won't.
Oh, and then I just wanted to toss in on it about how you mentioned about going to places to and just mentioning casually what you wanted. Years ago when I used to work restaurants, for those who don't know, you magicians would walk around table to table doing close-up magic. I was working a very high-end private party up in La Jolla, which is a nice area in San Diego area. And my intention at the party was to find a restaurant that wanted to hire me. So as I was doing my close-up magic, and I don't know the people, I just kept mentioning, "Hey, anybody own a restaurant around here? Just let me know. I kind of do magic at a restaurant and stuff." And one guy had been following me around for like 3 hours, and I thought he was just trying to figure out my magic trick. Ended up being he owned a restaurant, and so so he came up at the end of me. He says, "What do you got doing all the restaurants?" "Oh, I work in restaurants where I help promote it and do magic." So, oh, so he hired me for like 3 or 4 months. So that was just a perk from just mentioning this is what I'm, doing and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. You will never receive if you never ask. It's really that simple, right? So in my marriage, we have one rule that we abide by, which is we live in a no mind reading zone. If I want my bride to know something, I have to tell her in very specific terms and vice versa. This way we don't have fights, right? Or we don't have many fights, right? So, this way I don't have to, well, you didn't answer the way I thought you should, or you didn't do what I wanted you to. Well, did you tell me? No. Oh, shucks, I forgot. Oh yeah. So, and that's true in basic human experiences. If no action is requested and required, no action will be taken. So you have to give them an opportunity to take some kind of action by stating the action. And some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting next. Big deal, right? No pressure. But if there's one in a group of 100, and they turn into thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in results because you asked, was it worth it? And the answer is, why, yes, thank you very much. Right? So that's it. Thoughts, ideas, epiphanies, inspirations, cares, questions, concerns, considerations, quandaries, emotional outbursts, anything. Bueller. Okay, cool. Well then, gang, thank you very much. This week, continue to work on your next First Fast event. I'd love to see what's going on. Post them in the group so we can support you. Just do them, even if, again, this is not about making big money. It's about going through the process and just doing it and getting comfortable and just, hey, listen, I'm working with this group and they want me to do an event. So if somebody would just show up, that'd be really grateful. I'd be,
Check
whatever.
that off my list.
Yeah, I got to check it off the list. It's, these jerk in Reno making me do this damn thing, whatever, So just keep it super simple and just make the magic happen. Very easy peasy, fresh and breezy. So anyways, that's simple. Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys for being here. If there's anything we could do to serve, support, and encourage you. Oh, Miss Marnie, you have a question, please. Whoop, with a microphone this time. So go ahead and use your microphone. Marnie, microphone. Yeah, thanks. Cool.
Thanks for that.
No, that's okay.
I was just by Sunday, I'm going to be putting like my formula in there to sort of get this event going for
Okay.
online.
Perfect.
And I'll just yeah, so I'll be thinking of a lot of things, and I'll try to get the one page and have a look at what we've done previously,
Yeah.
just to see that's. And I want to get it done sort of pretty soon, even if it's just for how long. And I'll probably have you know, support with someone coming on with, like I'll invite you, everyone here.
Yeah. And I will tell you something kind of cool that I wasn't going to mention, but I am going to mention it just because, and that is that there was a low-tech solution that I used to use, and then when Garrett pointed out last week, PayPal changed their methodology, which doesn't change a whole lot. You can still just say, instead of sending them to the link with the $27 or whatever price point, you just say, when you get there, it's $27, and just tell them to type in $27 and they're good to go. So it's really no different. But there's an old system that I used to, and I still do recommend and refer, and somebody else showed me. They said, wow, thanks for this link. It's a really cool tool. And they showed me what they were doing with it. And I'm going like, oh my gosh, they've made so many improvements on it that it's now a free, no fee landing page. It's a template design, but it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. And I will do a micro training on that coming up as well. And it's a cool little system, and I've been recommending them for a while now. But that they've made some improvements, and it's all and you don't have to know anything fancy. I mean, it's a little bit more fancy than what I'm teaching you here, but it's a nice graphic template looking thing where you can have people buy and they can click right straight through. So it'll be a nice low tech, not no tech, but low tech solution to helping you. So I'm excited for that. So again, school is always in for the lifetime learner. Things that I've been recommending for years, somebody else said, oh, I'm so glad you recommended it. Showed me what they were doing with it. I'm going, oh my gosh, I had no idea. It does this now. So I'm going to go back and look through my links, find out what things are working better than they were before. So anyhow, so I'm excited about that for you guys as well. So, all right. Anything else? Gang, thank you so much. Appreciate you. If there's anything we can do to serve you, please let us know. It is our profound honor and pleasure to do so. And have a super amazing, sparkly, and blessed day and beyond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night, y'all.
Good night.